Hi, it's Debbie Williams here, and today I'm going to talk more about overcoming a restricted diet and food phobias. Now, if you've downloaded my Overcome a Food Phobia CD, then the best advice I'd give you is to listen to it ideally every day and to set some goals for yourself. And whether you've got my CD or not, I'd also recommend that you follow the link at the bottom here and get my free Stop Worrying, Create a Wonderful Life download. Because what that will do, if you listen to that also, maybe every other day, it plants the seeds of 1% improvement a day. At the end of the year isn't going to be 365% because it compounds. So it's quite motivational for helping you to stay on track with the goals to add more variety to your diet. Now, with a food phobia, sometimes the gag response comes in, which stops you from eating more food. So on the recording I suggest about cutting things so minuscule. Another thing that you can do is to invest in some green food supplement powders and say to your brain, this is medicine, it's not food, and to wet your finger and just dip it into the powder, put it on your tongue, and even if you spit it out, there will be a point where your body will start to absorb a little bit of those nutrients. If you practice this over and over, it will become something that you can tolerate and actually think, well, this isn't too bad, because you're not taking a big chunk of food, you're not setting up the gag response to any great degree. You may gag at the first sort of point. Also, there was studies done mainly in Europe, and it was called sort of meso health by this one scientist. I can't recall his name at the moment, but he studied using rats, as they all do, of putting rats on a junk food diet, and he found that if he switched halfway through their lives to a high nutrient based diet, they didn't suffer any negative consequences. So even if you're sort of in your mid-20s and you've had a rubbish diet so far, then science shows us with some changes you can make sure that your health into the future doesn't have any adverse effects from the past. Another thing that you can do is also know that certain vitamins can actually be absorbed through the skin. Vitamin E, zinc, C, gamma-limic acid, you can buy evening primrose oil capsules, pierce the thing and put it actually onto your skin, and your skin will absorb those nutrients. But obviously I know that you want to add more food to your diet rather than sort of do that, but I just wanted to share that with you because sometimes people have concerns of thinking, oh my god, I'm so nutrient deficient. But there is a lot of misinformation out there. You've got to have meat for protein, you've got to have dairy for calcium. Yet most of these were done from a marketing perspective, because before the war there was 12 food groups, then they cut it down to 7. Then after the war they decided, the government gave the farmers loads and loads of money, most of those were rich landowners, to design sort of programs for our health. So they then chopped it down to 4, which meant meat and dairy were something that we're supposed to have so much of. Yet if we look at cultures around the world, the societies that have the highest intake of dairy also have the highest rates of osteoporosis, because we've been lied to, because calcium's role in the body is to neutralise acid. So if you're having a high protein diet of meat, then a lot of times the calcium is leached out of the bones to neutralise the acid. Again, if we look for what we need as human beings, the best sort of indicator of how much protein we need is in mother's milk, and that's for growth and repair. That's the time when we're growing and repairing as much as we ever do, because we're doubling in size within a few months. And so the nature gives us a clue in mother's milk. And what would you guess the percentage of protein would be in mother's milk? It's about 3%, about the same as fruit. So really, if you want to add more nutrients to your diet, then the focus needs to be on fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds first. Because if we look at a carnivore in nature, what they will do when they take an animal down, they will go straight for the intestines, they will go straight for the plant matter, and they get it second hand. So one good thing to do for yourself is to start getting some good education on what nutrients you really need. And by adding something like a green food supplement, and by just, like I say, sticking your finger in there and going, "Ugh, it tastes like grass," because it does, you can build on that to add more variety to your diet. And again, when I work with clients one-to-one, I use a similar exercise which is on my Ultimate Confidence CD, which helps break down the fears and literally makes you more resourceful to feel that actually I can do this. And because we do it in literally bite-sized pieces, not even bite-sized pieces, they're something the size of the tip of your fingernail, of putting a little bit of food in and actually saying to yourself, well, I'm not actually going to chew this, because over time you'll find that you will chew it as the system realises, well, I'm not gagging, just having that tiny bit in my mouth. The taste receptors will start to absorb some of the taste and the smell of that particular food. And as I said earlier, if you sign up for my Stop Worrying, Create a Wonderful Life free download, you'll also be in my email list, where I send out once a month a newsletter of excuse me, of setting goals for that month. So if you set your goals for this month, right, I want to add to my diet, I want to be able to eat green peas and apples or something like that. And if you listen to my food phobia CD, it will teach you ways to get that into your body without creating the gag response or the phobic response to it. And then the next month you add a couple more foods, and what will happen over time is that you won't be adding just 2 foods. The momentum will build, that you'll start trying other new foods as you listen to the recordings. The trance on the Ultimate Confidence, plant seeds, if a miracle was to happen, how would you know? What would it look like? What would it sound like? And that's a great thing to think about, because if you were to think about it now, how would you like things to be? If you close your eyes now and just imagine, how would you feel if you were able to eat all the foods that you'd like to eat and feel comfortable, and maybe see yourself being able to chew the foods and feel okay about it? See, the more you practice this little thought experiment, the more you convince your unconscious and conscious mind that it's possible. Okay, it's great talking to you today. Bye now.